Serious, what secret could ruin your life? I got a girl pregnant when I was 18 and dating another person. The girl I got pregnant did not tell me about it until just over a year and a half after we hooked up in a car. By this point, I was already married and had a son of my own. So I told her there was no way it was my kid and that she is to never speak of me again. I was so afraid it would ruin my marriage that I did not want to deal with it. 5 months later, my mom and sister tell me this kid looks just like me, and they think she might be telling the truth. They say they are willing to keep the kid and take care of it, but I tell them it's not mine, and I want nothing to do with it. I now have 2 sons that I have given the world to and sometimes feel bad and look up this other kid. He has a crap life, and I sometimes feel bad about it. I'm not attracted to my wife when she's high. She smokes weed, and I'm fine with the fact she does, but I don't like the person she is when she's high. She's not as sharp as forgetful, indecisive, and generally disconnected with the world. In other words, the exact opposite of the person I fell in love with. I don't mind that she likes feeling that way, but she wants to be that way all the time. Sometimes I'd like to feel like she wants to be around me and the family without having to be stoned. She's got a lot of anxiety issues and a few other things that make living with her difficult, but those kinds of things I want to help her with and get through together. I don't feel like I can do that when she prefers lighting up over talking through stress. Edit. Thank you all for the support you've given. I didn't think I would get this much advice and conversation from this. I think I'm going to talk to her about this and see what help I can find for her anxiety. The girl who was my best friend and my fiancée at one point committed suicide. I have proof that she faked it and she's now living with a very rich 50-year-old man. She's 21. I know these people and she didn't even leave the city. Everyone thinks she passed away and there is even a tombstone with her name on it. I don't know whose body is in there, but it's not hers. Got super drunk once and my gay friend stayed over. We went to bed and as we're chatting his hand started moving and I didn't stop him. He ended up sucking my D***ck, and I won't lie, it was good. Thing is, as hard as it is to believe, I'm very straight. Also, our families are really close.
Sexual contact with the same sex doesn't magically make you gay. Just like sexual contact with the opposite sex doesn't make a gay person magically straight.
Subscribe to Karma Farm.
I grew up in a really crappy part of Mexico, where there was a lot of crime. When I was 8, I was mugged by an older guy on my way home from school. He grabbed me, but I was able to break out of his grasp, and I don't really remember what happened next. All I remember is the guy's knife sticking out of his own neck and me running away. I don't know if I killed him or what, and I generally try not to think about it. That until a week ago I was a heroin user. I'd lose my kid, my family, my job, everything. Finally just finished the worst of the detox. Here's to keeping on keeping on. I don't think I'll ever tell them, even though I'm currently clean and have no desire to go back. 15 years ago, between jobs, I took a short-term gig helping a large gay porn company, assisting them resolving some performance issues on their website. It was supposed to be only 2 weeks. That was 15 years ago. No one in my extended family knows that I work in gay porn, let alone know that I'm in charge of everything except video production. This isn't really something that would ruin my life, but it is something I've held on to for some time. In 2013, it was my first semester of college. I had this anthropology class, tribal and ethnic religions, at 8:30 in the morning. I'm not exactly a morning person, and this girl I sat next to wasn't either. It was one of those things where we just saw each other and knew we were both absolute ducking zombies still. We had this unspoken bond of no one else will understand how much we want to sleep, so let's just stay with each other for the rest of the semester. And we stayed pretty true to that. Even got pretty close. I mean, we'd spend 3 hours with each other in class every day, 3 days a week. It would often be 4 if we got food afterward, so it's understandable that we got close. But we were both super religious and thought every form of attraction was some kind of sin. So as close as we got, we were always super awkward with each other. When we got an assignment to go do interviews and all, it felt natural to go with each other and just help out. So we got mine done pretty early in the semester, relatively speaking, but hers took a bit more planning. We had to drive about 2 hours out to this mountain city where her grandpa lived to talk to him. I didn't drive at the time, so we took her car. There was about 3 months worth of sexual tension built up between us, So the drive was kind of uncomfortable, but we kind of skirted around our feelings towards each other for the first time. Once the interview was completed, we had dinner in a small pub and started heading back. It was about dusk and both of us said that we wanted to wander into the forest for a bit. Just take in the atmosphere for a while, you know. So we parked off the side of the road, went down into the trees. It was beautiful. We lived in the desert, where most of the vegetation we were used to was scraggly bush at most, a few palm trees here and there. But this was amazing. No sound from the city, no smog from the cars, just people, trees, and silence. She ended up brushing up against me to get past some roots, but in a way that felt almost deliberate. So I tested it back, brushing up against her at times where I didn't necessarily need to. We finally decided to say duck it to all our fears of damnation and just decided to have fun. I was the virgin at that point, but I made a lot of really dumb decisions up to that moment, which was why I was as religious as I was. She was a virgin despite being a few years older than me. So at the time, it was a very deep, emotional bond we made. I don't really care for the idea of virginity anymore. It just isn't important to me. But there was that feeling that it would last forever, that we would always be each other, and whatnot. When we'd finished and had our collective walk of shame to her car, obviously it was awkward. Just driving back home was awkward for pretty much the opposite reason as to when we were headed up in the first place. But the silence gave me a lot of time to think. I decided that I was just going to tell her exactly how I felt. I know, in hindsight, I don't know why I didn't, to begin with, but I was fresh 18, and always kind of bad with people. But I didn't have the nerves to do it then. It was Friday, I'd see her again on Monday, and that would be my moment. Monday came, and I was super excited. Dressed better than I normally do, all of it. But she didn't show. We usually didn't question when the other person didn't show, so I didn't think much of it. She missed the whole week, and I started getting concerned. I tried texting and calling her, but no replies. She missed a second week, and that Friday I asked the teacher. Turns out, he just got the news himself, and was going to tell the class before he began the lecture anyway. The Sunday after our forest escapade, she was killed. A car accident. For a while, I didn't react. I didn't believe it. I didn't know anything about her family outside of her grandpa, so I used what I could to find her family. I met her brother kind of sporadically, as I showed up at his work. He could see that I was pretty shaken as I spoke, and I could see that he was getting kind of agitated, so we decided to wait until his shift was over, and we'd talk. He told me about how happy she was the days before, how she'd been super depressed, but for just a little while she was getting out of her room more, getting along with her parents, and just felt more fun to be around. Then he told me about how someone was driving drunk, going 60 in a business area, hit her from behind, and wrapped her car around a tree. That was what did it. That was the moment that I really felt the impact. For days I couldn't do anything. I didn't want to do anything. I failed all but one class that semester. My entire life was basically falling apart. Through all of it, I never really told my parents, friends, or anyone. They just knew I was in a pretty bad place, but not why. I've had a few attempts at relationships since, but it was hard for me to not feel guilty whenever I got close to someone, because part of me was still in love with her. I got rid of my belief in God and His plan, because how could I justify her senseless death at the hands of some other butthole in a cosmic plan? She died teaching that guy the importance of responsibility. No, duck that. Since then, I've met someone else who's helped me get past my attachment to Marissa. I've been pretty open about what baggage I've brought, as she was about hers. Now that I think about it, I met her right around the time all of this was happening. I've gotten a lot more comfortable with my existential awareness too, I guess. So I'm in a much healthier place overall. Okay, I'm starting to get ramble more than I have been throughout all of this, so maybe this will make for a good place to stop. TLDR, first love died suddenly. Spent 3 years getting over it, finally over it. Edit, sorry I haven't been replying to the people who sent good wishes my way. I'm on mobile and the app refuses to take me to the actual replies for some reason. Maybe I'm just missing some really simple features. Anyway, thank you, everyone, for your kindness. I was sexually assaulted by my parents' neighbors, a father and son. The son was in his teens, I was 8. They used to put me in this walk-in closet and have showtime. I never realized what was happening until several years after we had moved from my grandmother's house in Phoenix to Houston. Fast forward 20 years goes by and I have a daughter of my own. She's 4 and we decided to visit Grandma in good old Valia, the sun. We get there and a few days pass, and one day my daughter's outside with her older cousins playing. I step outside to check on her and I'm greeted with that same ducking neighbor's son holding my daughter, giving her raspberries while his dad is playing with the other cousins. Something clicked. More like a twitch in my mind. Something tipped me just a nudge. But it started something. I walked outside, grabbed my daughter and corralled the kids, and made my presence known. The tipping point sent me into an emotional spiral of brewing thoughts. I'm white collar. I make my money off of thinking. I'd never say this to real-life human, nor will I ever give the details of how I did it. But several months after our visit with Grandma, my wife thought I had another work training when in fact I came back to Phoenix. I burned their home to the ground. Everything was lost except for the master bedroom and walk-in closet. That's a good place. Anonymous tip does amazing things to duck up someone's life. They both survived, unfortunately. I swear to God, I've hoped I've done enough good in my life to earn at least one wish. That would be to meet those low-life maggot creepers in hell and be their eternal tormentor. I look at my daughter every day and know she gave me the strength I needed as an adult I didn't have as a child. This won't ruin me because I've already want no contact with my mom, but it still hurts and is a big secret I've not told anyone. When I was a kid, I had asthma pretty bad. So I'd be up all night, coughing constantly. My mom and I lived with her parents. We shared a room, so I slept in her bed often when I was a toddler. Mom would come home from work and lay down for bed, but I'd keep her awake with my coughing. Sometimes at night, I'd be coughing and she would hug me so tight I couldn't breathe. It would really distress me that I couldn't breathe, but I knew Mom loved me so much, and I didn't want to tell her she was literally squeezing me to death because I was afraid of hurting her feelings. So I'd just tell her that I loved her so much, and she would cry pretty hard after that. It took me years after having my own kid and treating him gently to figure out that it's actually pretty difficult to squeeze a kid so hard that they couldn't breathe. Mom is bipolar and has had other incidents of hurting people and abandoning those in her care that need medication and can't take care of themselves. So, I finally put it together and figured out. Mom would be so agitated with my asthma that she would try to stop me from coughing by squeezing me, almost to death. And then she would cry out of guilt when I told her I loved her. My dad probably sexually abused me when I was a kid. I say probably because I don't actually remember it, but all the signs were there. I used to not want to clean/touch my genital area, and once I had blood in my panties. My period started many years later, just to name a few. Apparently he drugged me to make me sleep and then do whatever he did. The case went to court, but they decided there wasn't enough proof, so he was charged. My mom was granted full custody though. I don't really feel like it was my fault, but I definitely feel disgusting. I mean, it's about the most disgusting thing a person could do. I don't really know what the point of writing this was, but it feels a bit liberating to be able to say it. I hope anybody who's gone through similar things isn't doing too badly. When I was about 5 years old, my sister, 2 years old, and I were in the backyard in a kiddie pool. When my mom went inside, I attempted to drown my sister. After I saw her lifeless, I realized that it was a big mistake, pulled her out of the pool and called for my mom. Luckily she knew CPR and she was life-flighted to the hospital. My mom thanked me for saving her, pulling her out of the pool. Next week was my birthday. The police, firefighters, paramedics came to my house to give me gifts and celebrate my birthday. To this day, 20 years later, I still think about it. I remember the day so vividly. Not a soul knows the real truth. I forged my high school transcripts to get into university. I can't even think about the consequences of my actions if anyone were to ever find out. I'm 3 weeks shy of graduating with a degree in biology. I own accounts on multiple sites dedicated to taking down child pornographers. If anyone knew who I was, I imagine there would be a lot of perverts wanting revenge. And I don't want to put anyone at risk.
As a mother to 2 kids, I wish you a wonderful and happy life.
When I was 10, my cousin sexually molested me during a sleepover at my aunt's house. My aunt walked in on her molesting me and took me away from her. However, since that day it was never talked about within my family, and everyone acts like that day never existed. A similar thing happened to me when I was about 6 and he was 13. He didn't get caught, but my grandmother figured it out when I started drawing detailed male genitalia on characters in newspaper cartoons. The whole family just doesn't talk about it, and I didn't figure out myself till a scent memory of the strain of indica weed he was high on when he did it triggered the memory to flood back when I was 22. In reality, I'm a deeply depressed, secret alcoholic, which I fear is already adversely affecting my health, but I can't stop, don't believe in any higher power anymore, and derive little or no pleasure or satisfaction from anything. Most of this started with a sudden and untimely death of my mom, and some other family drama that happened around the same time while I was in university. I powered my way through there because I was encouraged to by those around me, even though I wanted so badly to drop out. This is also about the time I started abusing alcohol. I barely drank at all before. My family is rather scattered now, living in different states. My wife and I are close, but I have been unable, to find or make new, meaningful friends as an adult in the city I moved to for a job. I'm so stressed, I feel pins and needles in my brain/head and tongue constantly, and drink heavily, 5-10 drinks/units per day most of the time. Sometimes more I can hold off if I am traveling or around family, or in a situation where I can't drink at all. I don't even get really that drunk visibly anymore, which is why I think I hide it well from my wife. There is usually an empty vodka bottle hidden in my briefcase by the time she gets back from work, and I have usually poured my first glass of wine by then to mask that I have already been drinking. I get home from work earlier than she. She thinks I am as happy and fulfilled as she and excited and ready to have kids and start a family, etc., etc. In truth, I am just numb to this world. I try to love her, I think I do, and expend all of my energy keeping up the facade and affection for her. But apart from that, I have zero energy or desire for anything. I used to be athletic, and still look decent, but my physical shape is fading fast. I don't have or enjoy any hobbies. I just wake up, go to work, drink when I can, and mark off the days as I get older and closer to eventually dying. I don't know what to do. Tried therapy back in the day, and meds didn't seem to help. I just am trying to make life okay for the people around me, who I don't want to see be like me inside, mostly my wife. But beyond that, I feel like I have totally missed the boat, and am past satisfaction or having any meaningful place in the world. Hope someone reads this. Peace. I'm in serious debt because of a drug addiction I used to have, of which my family didn't know I had. I'm almost 2 years clean now, but I can hardly pay any bills I have in it. I'm afraid to ask any family member for money because I know I can't pay them back in the near future. Since nobody knows who I am on this account, I will say it here. There is an autistic kid at school. He keeps telling me he is going to shoot up the school, constantly asks if I want it. I always get scared and say no. He says he will not shoot me and shoot girls so I can have them. He says he wants to join ISIS and become a terrorist. The thing is that he is either making really dark jokes, or he is just very mentally handicapped. I would feel like garbage if I told on him because I'd not know what he is talking about. But at the same time, if he does something, I don't think I would be able to live with myself. Update 4: I don't think he is at school anymore. I haven't seen him and nobody hasn't talked about him. I assume he is expelled or suspended. Not entirely sure. I feel incredibly bad about telling on him though. My oldest son committed suicide in 2015. He shot himself in the head. Every day I talk myself out of putting myself in dangerous situations where I could possibly be killed or hurt because I miss him so badly and want to be with him. When I was around 7, 8, my mother used to see a guy who would beat her just about every chance he would get. It wasn't anything for her to come grab me and my sister in the middle of the night, and we'd run away for a few days. Finally, one day, I had enough of it. It started like it always does, and he started laying into her. When he did, I jumped on his back and started hitting him as hard as an 8-year-old could hit a grown man. He threw me off him and onto the kitchen table. I tried him again, and this time he threw me into the refrigerator, held me by my throat, and I took my mother's beating for her. All I remembered was seeing his fist, then waking up and seeing it again. Something happened. When I started to come to, I was in the front seat of her car with my sister in the back, and we was driving fast. I'm guessing running from him. Anyway, she lost control of the car and we flipped into the ditch. I drug myself out. For some reason my shoulder and arm hurt so bad I couldn't hardly move it. But I managed to pull my sister out and then proceeded to collapse. I woke up in the hospital. Nobody was there. Nobody visited. I was alone. After about a month's stay, I was moved to a place called Helping Hands, where I was reunited with my sister. We stayed there for roughly 2 months until one day my mother showed up. She was in prison. She took us home after a few weeks of supervised visits. When I got home, I immediately moved out to my dad's house 3 states away. I was forced to grow up fast, never had a childhood. The days I was watching this boxing match in the kitchen, I had to basically care for me and my sister by doing to the cooking and making sure we got what little school we could. My mother made poor choices with relationships and drugs and alcohol, and in result I lost the better part of 10 years of my life. When I moved in with my dad, I remember him crying to my aunts because of me. I hoarded everything I found, wouldn't wear shoes, didn't take being scolded well, slept in my closet, and never really slept until I passed out from lack of it. He stuck with me though and got me on a normal path, and for that I'm grateful. But I still have problems to this day. Health and mental. A 33-year-old man shouldn't have to sound out words when he reads. I've only told my wife about this, and obviously my dad. I've worked hard and now have a good career with the capital city of my state. I have 2 daughters that I pray will never see what I do, and that is my main drive in life. I haven't spoken to my mother in quite a while. Looking back, I'm sure I could have gotten her into heaps of trouble. But it is what it is. Thanks for listening, Reddit. The plain truth is that I can't deal with the pain of the disease. My daughters can't accept that I am so sick. My husband can't conceive of losing me. But I'm sick and I'm going to die. And I'd be at peace if they could be okay without me. But I'm gonna miss my grandbabies. They are so lovely. Baby Teddy is so perfect. Most people are under the impression that I do very well when it comes to talking to women. But not only have I not had actual sex in months, but the last time I did have sex, I was raped. I was out of town and I stumbling home from a bar. I was so drunk that I couldn't find my hotel, so I decided to hitchhike. A guy picked me up and took advantage of me. I was so drunk that I only remember bits and pieces. I can't remember his face either. It doesn't really affect me that much because I try to pretend it never happened. When I do think about it though, it does hurt a lot. I never thought it would happen to me. I was so wrong. Most people are under the impression that I do very well when it comes to talking to women. But not only have I not had actual sex in months, but the last time I did have sex, I was raped. I was out of town and I stumbling home from a bar. I was so drunk that I couldn't find my hotel, so I decided to hitchhike. A guy picked me up and took advantage of me. I was so drunk that I only remember bits and pieces. I can't remember his face either. It doesn't really affect me that much because I try to pretend it never happened. When I do think about it though, it does hurt a lot. I never thought it would happen to me. I was so wrong. I get paid a 6-figure salary for a standard 40-hour-a-week corporate job for a massive, well-known company. In a given week, I do maybe an hour of actual work. The rest of the time I am on Reddit or YouTube slacking off. I thought when I got this job that eventually someone would figure out I don't do anything all day, but here I am 14 years later still doing duck all and getting paid a lot for it. Welcome to IDA. It sounds a lot like my job. I would rather be super busy all the time. My wife and I have been talking and it's stupid tough to leave this job. I'm bored off my *s and want something challenging. About a few weeks every month I get that, but the downtime kills me. However, for the money, I'll never find a gig that pays so well and is this easy. My boss and employer are great. The money is great, but being bored sucks. One night about a decade ago, when I was 8 years old, I couldn't sleep at night, so I was just walking around the house, looking for something to do. It was winter, so there was a fire in the fireplace. I started playing with it, throwing stuff into it, watching how it burns. At one point, a big log rolled out of the fireplace. As a kid, I started to panic. I tried to cover it with a blanket, then ran out to the kitchen to get some water. When I came back, the whole living room was on fire. It was a wooden house. I was terrified, ran out of the house. Literally within a minute, it was burning like crazy. My older sister, younger brother, and mom, who was pregnant at the time, all died instantly. Dad was working a night shift. No one really questioned me. My room had a window, and I said I left through it when I saw the fire. The real cause has never been found. My dad was absolutely devastated and a few weeks later shot himself. I found his body. I've been living with my grandparents ever since. No one knows what really happened at night. I spent half of my life with therapists. I hate myself, have a severe depression, attempted a suicide a while ago. I'm suicidal. My significant other doesn't know. I've been planning on killing myself for over a year. It would kill my parents and sister if they found out. My significant other would think I'd been lying to him with keeping this a secret from him. Some days are worse than others. I've gotten a dog recently, and he's really helped me out. I've actually had a pretty good past few days. But the thought of your pills are next to the bed. Go take them is always in the back of my mind. The only thing that's stopping me is thinking about what my family/significant other/dog would do if they found me dead. I don't want them to go through that. Writing all of this out and thinking about this has made me realize I need therapy. I'm making an appointment today. Edit. Thank you for all the love, both in my inbox and replying to my comment. It really means the world to me. Edit again. Multiple edits are annoying. Sorry. I can't believe the amount of support I've gotten for this post. I've made an appointment with a therapist for Friday, and I will be talking with my significant other about this tonight. Thanks again. You guys are the best. As a police officer, I rarely if ever arrest people for possession of marijuana, something that if found out would probably get me ostracized and possibly fired since I work in a conservative department. So, don't really know how to start this off, but I'm attracted to beds. It started somewhere during my early high school years, when I was really starting to discover myself. There was something about beds. The fact that when you go to sleep at night, you're always with them. Their purpose is to make you feel comfortable at night, when you're at your most vulnerable. Anyway, I modified my twin bed towards the end of high school, essentially tearing the fabric, shoving some pillows in the side, and make a little hole that I could insert myself into. I've always known that the behavior is odd, but I can't help myself. Nowadays, I live with my girlfriend. I don't have that twin bed anymore, but anytime we have sex, it has to be on a bed. If it's not, I can get hard. Needless to say, if this got out, it'd truly duck me over. There is a super high possibility that I have a child. A girl I was with, who turned out to be crazy, lied about being on birth control. The times like up almost too good and it looks kind of like me. Since then she has been married and her husband seem happy together, so I've never worried about it. I joined a job that is known for being absolutely miserable and a good chance of me getting killed. I love it. I was suicidal as a teenager and I gave up, knowing I couldn't kill myself. Now I have a good chance of dying without me having to do anything. And to add to the goods, my family would get a whole lot of life insurance money if I got killed, so I could do them a lot of good becoming a corpse. If word ever got out, I'd be in a lot of trouble and probably pulled. I don't want it. I need this edge or else I fall into a horrible depression. I need the challenge and risk. That way for obvious reason. When I was about 13, I tried to kill my mother. Well, I don't think I wanted to kill her, but blind her for sure. My mother is an alcoholic, and I was having a difficult time getting through living with her. In science class, we discussed the different types of alcohols, and our teacher was very specific, telling us which ones were safe to drink. Looking back now, that's kind of weird to tell 13-year-olds, but I guess it stuck, so it worked. He told us to never drink isopropyl alcohol because it would cause blindness or kill you. After getting grounded a month for not doing the dishes right, I think I used soap on her wooden spoons or something. I waited until she passed out, which about 30 minutes later, at 8:30, and put about 2 cups into her near full gallon jug of vodka. And I waited, and nothing happened. Well, at least nothing I could tell happened. She's still alive, and to my knowledge, her vision was never impacted. Little me dodged a bullet, since I have no idea what my life would have been like if I actually killed her. A few months later, she tried to commit suicide, and I left to live with my dad, and my life has been much better since then. I still wish she'd die, though. She's a terrible person. I'm gay and a lot of my family/friends are pretty homophobic. I know it's far too late for this to be noticed in the thread, but it just feels good to say it. Edit. Thanks guys, it really means a lot. I can feasibly go through and respond to every nice comment, but I really appreciate it all, and it's really boosted my self-esteem. Thanks Reddit. I'm roughly 5 years into a relationship and still have no idea if I want to marry the girl. I wish I'd never had kids and often fantasize about life without them. I love them and they have a way of warming my heart on bad days, but I only had them because we were expected to after getting married. We've sunk so many thousands of dollars into childcare over the years. I wonder how much more financially stable we'd be Trying to arrange drop-off/pickup is a pain when we have to work long hours or have irregular hours, and having to plan any outings well in advance to make sure someone can watch the kids sucks as well. I try to instill good values, but they still act like spoiled whiny brats at times. But I do try and make sure and let them know they are loved every day. Edit. Thanks everyone for the encouragement and kind words. And I'm glad I could reaffirm some of y'all's life decisions, lol. My youngest came into our room a little while ago because a tummy ache woke him up and he needed me to make it better. He's curled up with me now asleep, and I realize these little moments make up for everything. Throwaway. I have literally fabricated my entire life and identity. I'm not who I say I am, and my backstory is not the one anyone knows. At any moment, I could be revealed, and that terrifies me. I didn't expect to build a life for myself under this identity. It was never supposed to last. Now I'm stuck.
If you don't mind, could you please expand a bit on that?
I'm not sure exactly what you want me to expand on. I've been living under false identities, and have been for a period of time that is over 15 years but under 25. I won't go in depth with specifics, but due to a traumatic childhood, I had to cut ties one day with my entire life. The longest I have spent as one identity since then is about 6 years. I have a home, a marriage, and a job. Legally, this isn't exactly secure. I'm guaranteed to one day lose everything and face serious consequences if I am found or found out. What secret could ruin my life? I secretly take off my hijab. On social media, I wear the hijab. In front of all my parents, other family, most of my friends, I wear a hijab. Here's my story. When I graduated 2 years ago, I decided to look for a job, and I wasn't able to land anything. I came up with the idea to start interviewing without wearing one, and once I get an offer, I'd start wearing it again. I ended up getting 2 great job offers, which made me really sad that my theory of taking it off and easily finding a job was true. I took one and haven't worn it to work at all. I don't know what happened in the mix of things. I guess I started to like the attention men gave me, and I actually felt like I belonged/normal with my peers. It was a feeling I've never felt. Everyone started treating me different, as if I was worth speaking to. I don't get weird looks anymore. I don't get asked weird questions. I'm too afraid to tell my parents about it because of disappointment, and I'm even more afraid of the Muslim community finding out. Bullying and talking ***T happens a lot to girls who take it off. I wear it to family functions, and when I'm at a place where I know I can run into someone I know. So yes, in essence, I guess I'm living a double life. Say what you want, I'm okay for now living like this. I keep changing my mind on what I permanent want to do.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to Karma Farm to get more videos just like this.